folks, it's just that easy. Hey folks, it's just that easy. You mix it up, you fix it up, you do it yourself. He can turn your little shack into a first-class castle. Save you time and money and a great big hassle. Hey folks, it's just that easy. You mix it up, you fix it up, you sand it down, you paint it brown, you measure twice, you cut it once. It's just that easy.
And a very good morning to you all, folks. Welcome to the Shell Buzzies AskShell.com show. And we're looking at a show today that's going to not only bring a consultant in the building of home improvements, as well as talking about specialty items like windows. Well, gosh, we can get into doors, we can get into decking, we can get into you name it. We'll talk about it because my guest this morning is a Mr. Mike Oma, and he is a consultant with our Shell Buzzy Home Improvements and Renovations. This before I bring Mike into the studio, I would like to bring a couple of items up, though. We're full of information this morning. We've got emails to answer. We've got Mike to interview. We've got your emails. In the event of you've sent me an email, I want you to be aware of the fact that we have already answered your emails directly to you. This is for the benefit of the listening audience, and the listening audience having a concern similar to many, many people today that are involved in the fact of improving their home. So with that, no further ado, let's get on with the show. Let's talk about, windows, first of all. And you are listening to the Shell Buzzy AskShell.com show. You can go to my website at any time, AskShell.com, and get information there on, we got everything in there from email answers to YouTubes. So good morning, Michael. How are you doing?
Good morning, Shell. Beautiful morning this morning.
Oh, my God, I tell you, it's one of those things, Mike, when it comes to weather, we've been waiting, but, we still haven't got a clear run yet at a weekend. We are talking about the Saturday of the show. Hopefully it's going to be a beautiful day. But, Mike, you've been around this industry for many, many years that I'm aware of. And now you're a consultant with the Shell Buzzy Ask Shell show, and also you're involved in the Shell Buzzy's Home Improvements and Renovations with owner Keith Araki. But tell me, windows, have they really changed over the last, say, 20 years?
Oh, extensively. When I first got started, vinyl windows were a brand new product. Let's just say back in 95, we were still putting aluminum windows into people's houses because the vinyl frames that were very new hadn't really been proven, nor were they marketed that well. But the type of glass that you can install in your house, the type of frames, it's changed huge.
Now, windows, vinyl windows, aluminum windows back 20 years ago, they went from the insul glass that was, they went from the single pane glass going back 40 years ago, and then they moved on into the 3/8 glass, and then they moved into half-inch glass and 5/8 glass. Why all these different types of glass? Is there that much really improvement in glass today over that 20 years ago?
20 years ago, when I go and look at houses, typically the glass that's installed, and if it is in a vinyl frame that was installed 20 years ago, it was just clear glass, both with half-inch airspace, but it didn't have any of the Energy Star ratings, if you want to call it that. There was no low E, there was no argon, so you're getting fading with your furniture and your flooring. You're getting transmission of cold air into the house immediately. You're getting transmission of heat leaving the house immediately. There was no resistance in the glass itself, but the new glass with the low E coating and the argon slash also in a proper vinyl frame.
Now, just hang on a minute. You mentioned the term argon. There's a lot of people out there reading that term argon, and it's a term that everyone's heard from it's in between the glass, it leaks out of the glass, it's all these different scenarios. But argon is a very important factor within those glass, that the cavity between the two sheets of glass.
Yeah, what the argon is, it's a inert gas, clear, and it slowly travels around. I'm not sure if convection is the proper word, but it slowly travels around between the two panes. Typically, cold air likes to sit at the bottom of the window frame. The gas itself transmit, and by moving around, it circulates that cold air and gives the whole window pane a average temperature, so you're reducing the possibility of condensation on the bottom of your vinyl frame extremely by keeping the temperature warm throughout the whole area of glass.
Right, so people today now are relating to argon as a inert glass cavity air that is called gas because it is clear, as you say. It is injected in between the two panes, but it does stop that conduction of cold to heat from outside to inside, and also, I guess, reverse when it comes to summertime.
Yes, exactly. I have in the past, people have decided to stick with their aluminum frames, so I have changed a few times just the sealed units and put in a low E squared argon glass, and it has minimized their moisture on the inside of their aluminum frame. It hasn't gotten rid of it completely, but it's reduced it by about 75%, but there still is that on a cold winter day you get ice actually forming on the bottom of your aluminum frame in your bedroom, because typically that's where you get the most moisture, your bathroom or in your bedrooms.
Right. And the reason for that obviously is the closing up of blinds at night in the bedroom.
No circulation whatsoever, and you close the blinds and then you're breathing and off-gassing two people in the room for 8 hours. You're going to have a humidity buildup, if that's a good word to use.
You know, I've always been one that especially with my background in the Power Smart delivery of that message for 10 years. And one of the hardest things was getting the homeowner to understand why they should leave their exhaust fans in their bathrooms, in their laundry rooms, 24/7. Leave them on. Let them run. Let them bring air in from outside, obviously, because you're creating that negative requirement for air to come in through whatever air leakage, open window, makeup air venting within the home. Some have makeup air venting in closets. Some have makeup air venting behind the washer and dryer. All these things are there for a purpose, and that's for air quality inside the home. But I've been interested in your comment that you're making relevant to the putting of the better, good, better, best, but the better glass in the old aluminum frames. And those old aluminum frames are still going to condense if you've got a high relative humidity within that home area of a kitchen, bathroom, or bedroom.
Oh, correct. Yeah, absolutely. Like some houses, typically people want to put new fans and upgrade the fans in their bathrooms.
Why? That's the one. Tell the folks why.
Okay. Well, first of all, the fans they put in, say 20, 25, or even 15 or 18 years ago were only a 50 or 60 CFM fan. And the zone rating, the lower the zone, the quieter the fan. The zone rating was probably a 3.5 or 4 rating, which meant you sounded like you were at the Vancouver International Airport with
Sounds
a 747 taken off.
Yeah.
Whereas if you now put in like a 90 to 110 CFM fan, anywhere from a 0.9 to 1.5 zone, the fan is much more quieter. It's exhausting a lot more of the humidity in the bathroom. And, we strongly suggest that not just a switch, but go with a timer and have that timer set so it runs 35, 50 minutes after you finished your shower, because even the towel hanging on the back of the door when it's drying is exhausting humidity into the air. And then other times we will actually put something in the hallway, which is a dehumidistat, and it will turn on automatically at, say, in the summer when we've got some high humidity. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, your fan will come on, but that's just telling you that there's too much humidity in the house.
Right. It's interesting when it comes to windows, because windows, we take an advantage of them because we don't realize that glass is not an insulator. It's what we put in the frame and put in glass, and what we put in between the glass and what we put on the glass. Glass otherwise is clear. We're always keeping them clean. And all these items are creating nothing more than a factor of visual content. But on the other hand, the energy efficiency, the more you do to upgrade, the better the comfort level is going to be within the home itself. And what do you find today now as far as the quality of frame, quality of glass? What is being sold today?
Well, typically here in Vancouver, they just go with a 3 mil glass, 1/2 inch airspace. If you've got a large window, they might have to bump the glass up to a 4 mil. That's just the engineer's requirements. The windows themselves, a huge difference. Like I will have a customer stand in front of a window or a patio door prior to us taking out the aluminum with the sun shining on it, and then once we get the new patio door or window in, I ask them to come stand in front of that again, and they can't even feel the heat. It's just disappeared. And just the comments I get from people, the comfort level, the amount of times the furnace is not coming on anymore, rather than 8 or 10 times a day, it's only 3 times a day. And the garbage trucks and the vehicles outside and the noise has diminished greatly. It's actually a sound deadening feature. It's not specifically for that. It can be. There are ways to manipulate the glass in a window to stop the reverberation of sound from the street, but just the vinyl frame with the 1/2 inch airspace makes a huge difference even in the sound.
But that's exactly why we wanted to get talking about windows and glass today, because even what you've said, not every person out there listening today are going to get what they really are hearing you and I saying here, because of the understanding of it. So it really does take that consultant like you to go out and show the importance of the glass, the type of glass, and the exposure to the glass, because it makes a real difference. I can recall when they used to install energy efficiency glass on one elevation because it was a south elevation or an east elevation where they get morning sun. And the north and east, they didn't really concern themselves too much with it. So we want to get into that, and we want to get into values of glass here in this interview. And folks, you're listening to the Shell Busey AskShell.com show, and it's a show that we bring the how to the information, the how to the what to the where to the why to the when to the who to, I like to say. And we have Mike Olma with us today from Shell Busey's Home Improvements and Renovations, and we're talking about glass because we're in that time of year now. People are going to start thinking about glass, new windows, etc., etc., etc. So folks, stay with us. We're going to deal with windows and glass and doors, and we'll get into skylights as well, and even decks. So stay with us here on the Ask Shell Radio Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. Shell Busey here in the AskShell.com show you're listening to, and we would love for emails to come. You can send an email to us anytime, 24/7, 7 days a week, and when we're here on the show, Saturday mornings from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock, we take as many of those emails and we answer them, but we want you to be aware that we have already answered the emails to you, the homeowner, unless you've sent them in within the last, say, 10 hours or so. But in any event, folks, this show is brought to you by those fine people at Rona Building Center, and that's the Rona Building Center at the Tsawwassen Mills. Well, I like to call it the station, and it's down in that beautiful parts of Tsawwassen, just on the road, the road that you take to the ferry. You can drop in there on your way to the ferry. If you're going to the cabin, you want to pick up some material, drop into the Rona Tsawwassen, and that's right at the Rona Tsawwassen Mills Center, shopping center, super shopping center. So thank you, Rona, as well as I'd like to say, folks, if you have any questions, Every other Wednesday in the local newspaper in Chawasan, we do have those items of interest called the Q&A by yours truly, and that's sponsored by Rona as well. So if you've got a question and you'd like the answer, by all means, just follow the details on that ad in the newspaper, and that's the Optimist newspaper. And I will get the question, we'll do the answering here on this show, or we'll call you and get it done the way that you like to on a one-on-one basis. But we want to get back to Mike Olma. Mike Olma's with our Shell Busey Home Improvements and Renovations, and he is with me today, and we're talking about windows, doors. We're going to touch on skylights as well, because all of these items have now got glass. Glass is a big item. We've talked about glass. We've talked about all the different types of glass. Low E squared, I heard you say once there, Mike. And low E squared is a double low E coating on the glass. And let me ask Mike, why would you use low E squared glass rather than just low E glass in a window or a door or a skylight?
Well, the low E squared has twice the ability to reflect the harmful UV rays. You get a low E coating on one side, having the double coating. It's just more of an energy efficient glass. That's specifically it. It's often, I do notice quite often though, that it doesn't seem to be used as often as maybe it should. Typically, it's whether you're getting cardinal glass or you're getting any one of the glass companies, it's typically just the low E, just the one coating. Maybe it's just overkill or the expenses. The other thing too is, not to get technical, but the more coatings you apply to the glass, the darker the room appears. Mm-hmm. So with one coating of low E, you still get 70% of light transmission. I don't know exactly what it is with a double or a low E squared, but it does darken the room up. So people typically are just going with the one coating.
Well, it's like taking your clear glass, I guess, and putting a film on it. And putting a film on it is going to knock down the visual content as far as the brightness of the sun, for example, or the dullness of the day. So if it's a dull day, it's going to even be duller inside. But if it's a bright day, you're going to get the effect of the comfort with that film. But with the low E squared, as you say, it has that capability of knocking down not only the glare, the UV, the heat energy, which is your radiant heat from the sun. So it really makes things a lot more comfortable. Here's a question for you. It comes to my mind, and I get it asked a lot. What side of a roof would you suggest not to put a skylight in?
Oh, well, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking the northern side or the northern exposure would be the area where you're going to have the least amount of sunlight penetrating through the tunnel of the skylight itself. So I would have it facing south, southwest, or southeast, but not on the north side if you're looking for brightness coming into the house.
Right. Okay. Now, when you have a skylight or a front picture window, and that front picture window, as well as the skylight, is on the south side of the home, you're going to get a lot of natural light, especially with that exposure as the sun moves around from morning on into the afternoon hours and on into the evening. So if you're wanting more light into your home, skylights are very, very effective. Bay windows are very effective. But where and when would you suggest not to put a skylight or a bay window if you have that effect of the bright sun as far as an elevation, let's say, of a roof? Because a roof having a north elevation is going to be dull inside, but any natural light is going to brighten it up.
Oh, any natural light will brighten it up. But I mean, there's some physical properties that don't allow people not to put a skylight on the north side. For example, if they want to put it over the kitchen, then of course it's going to go on the north side, and people are quite happy to have any natural light coming into their kitchen. Specifically if you've got windows in your kitchen and you're facing north, but you've got sort of a shallow backyard or hedges or trees, there's no reflection from the trees whatsoever for the light to come in. So anything up on the roof will just give it extra light into the kitchen.
See what I mean, folks? Now you're talking to a professional consultant when it comes to skylights, when it comes to windows, when it comes to energy efficiency, and patio doors, for an example, or another one. People will go from a single door, have the door opening widened, and a patio door, which will be anywhere from 5 to 6 to 8 feet wide, and opening up that cavity, giving you more natural light in or more exposure to a backyard landscaping. So those are where people like yourself, a consultant, a professional, are going to advise you. I hear it every day that they gave me a price over the phone. How can you give a price over a phone when you don't see the actual application?
20% of my customers, when I talk to them, they'll say, oh, I'll email you a picture or get a picture over to you. I said, that's great, but I'm still going to come out and visit because it's the natural surroundings. It's the properties of the house. It's where things are located. It's interior walls. It's just the layout of the house. It's the exterior of the house and the application. I can't just say I'm going to put in a French patio door outswing because you want it, because if you've got a low soffit overhang, it's going to hit your fascia board, in which case, just did recently, 5 people said the lady couldn't do it. I said, yes, we can do it. We just got to cut the doors down by 1.5 inches, and then we'll get the outswing application that you need.
So
it happened.
You're getting all that information while you're there at the home. It's not something that you're going to guess, or you're not just going to completely ignore the home itself, even though you know it's going to have 3 windows this size, a patio door replacing a single door, a skylight installed. You really want to talk to the people to give them the good, better, best. As I say, good, better, best. Why worry about the rest? When the good is better, the better is best. But, people worry about having to pay for a consultant to come out to your home.
Okay, well, first of all, we don't charge for coming out. Yes, we charge if we're actually going to be there and doing some work, fixing your vinyl siding, hanging this, handles, grab bars, and stuff like that. But the other thing that's important here is just that I'm coming out as a sales consultant, I also supervise my job. So I am the person who physically measures your doors, your windows, figures out which is the best frame to put in that window. I order the windows, and I also set up the crews, delivery, and then participate on the job site when the actual job is taking place. So typically the crew will work on the outside. I'll help them with some of the larger windows, and I'm on the inside doing the finished dapping and stuff like that, and making sure the windows are centered and so on. So I'm there from day one, from visiting you the first time, writing the contract, discussing exactly what's in the contract, deposit, ordering, remeasuring, delivery, communicating. So I am the person that you're calling throughout the whole project.
That's why you're called a consultant. You're not a salesman.
Supervisor.
That's right. A consultant covers everything from start to finish. And we've always had that success rate with you. And folks, I want you to remember that name, Mike Ulma, when you even call our office for a referral to our Shell Busey Home Improvements and Renovations. Then when you do call, say, I would like to have Mike Ulma come out because I heard him on Shell's AskShell.com show. And here's the number. Please write it down. It's 604-542-2236. And there is somebody there live answering that phone every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. You can always leave a message. You can leave a message and we'll get back to you the very next working day. So, folks, take the advantage of having good, better, best, the best service when it comes to window replacements, door replacements, expansion of door when they're being replaced, from single door swinging to double door sliding or French doors, and certainly skylights. All of that being said is something that's very, very important. Now, we want to get into, Mike, as well, some of the other projects, because not only does he get out into bathrooms, kitchens, flooring, decks, canopies. So let's take this next break, folks, and we'll come back with Mike Olma of Shell Buzzy's AskShell.com show, as well as Shell Buzzy's home improvements and renovations. We'll be back right after this, folks. Stay with us. And welcome back, folks. Shell Buzzy, the AskShell.com show, here on the AskShell.com radio network. And I hope you're enjoying it. Nice to be back on the air. I should have mentioned that right from the beginning. It's nice to be back to be able to help you with all those how to, the what to, the where to, the why to, the when to, the who to, folks. That's what we're here for. In fact, if you ever run into a problem that you haven't been able to find an answer to, then for goodness sakes, when in doubt, don't pout. Let Shell help you out. And Morgan is with us today, and Morgan is one of the young, I guess, entrepreneurial type of information gatherers, because he's the operations manager here at the office. And Morgan, I'm going to have to say good morning to you.
Good morning, Shell.
By God, I'll tell you, it's been a long time since we have had a day where someone hasn't brought about a question that they are at wit's end. And we had one here recently, folks, that was on a slough, and they had a dock on the slough where you could bring a canoe up to, or you could bring a small runabout boat up to, and get out of the boat and up onto the dock, and then from the dock up onto the back patio. Beautiful location. But the dock had, unfortunately, had major rot in underneath, and the structure failed, and it wasn't a very good-looking structure anymore. It looked very untidy, and it didn't look structurally safe to be even on or coming up to with a boat. So anyway, after many, many days trying to get that job taken care of, guess what? They called Shell. And we have a gentleman on that job right now, and Phil is his name, and Phil is just having the time of his life because he enjoys the job, the challenge of the job, and he is very capable of the job. And that job is being completed as we speak, actually. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful dock plus stair case up to the main deck at the back of the home. So, folks, when in doubt, don't pout. And the other two that we're working on, in fact, we're going to be dealing with Shell Buzz's home improvements and renovations here. Mike will possibly be the arranging of the service trade to come out and go out to this homeowner. Two of them, actually, that have got leaks in their home. But it's really been a problem that they've had for the last few years, where there's a wet spot show up around the early spring, and then it disappears other than the stain in the ceiling, and they don't see it again until the following spring. So that service we have available, and we've got the person that's going to be able to go out there with the proper cameras to identify, actually take pictures in behind the walls, in behind the ceilings, to identify where that water is coming in, be it a leak in a window, be it a leak in a skylight, or it may even be what's called an ice dam. So all those questions are here with the answers. Okay, so folks, the Shell Buzzy AskShell.com show is more than just a show. This is an information show that answers your questions, and I never stop until we do get the answer. So we will find it for you. Okay, back to Michael here, because I want to talk to Mike. We've talked about windows. We've talked about entrance doors. We've talked about skylights. Let's talk about something, especially with the sun coming out 2 days a week now, about sun decks. And sun decks are a big demand today here in the greater Vancouver area.
Oh, yeah. People just love their back decks. I mean, Vancouver, we all know it, for 6 months out of the year. Oh, for some of us, 12 months out of the year barbecuing on the backyard.
Too bad.
And the type of material that's available to people right now, whether it's composite decking, radius edge treated decking, cedar, and or even vinyl decking, is a beautiful look for anyone's backyard. It's just a matter of figuring out what color and what material is going to work best, and reconfiguring the deck possibly for specific areas. Many decks that were built were only like 10 or 12 by 12. The patio furniture now, you put that on there with your nice big barbecue, and there's no room to walk around whatsoever.
Talking about all these accessory items, my goodness, you go into any one of the building supply stores now, like Rona and Home Hardware, for example. They've got DIY, do-it-yourself gazebos. They've got all these DIY set-in-place outdoor kitchens. I mean, you can do tremendous as long as you have the deck to put them on. You can't put them down in the grass.
Oh,
You want to get them elevated up off the ground.
Get them elevated up off the ground.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So you're talking about cedar, treated wood. You're talking about composites, and you're talking about vinyls. Good, better, best. Where do you think the best approach is to? I know where I went a couple of years ago, and that was to composite, because I just don't want to get the brush out. I'd much rather invest today in the finish of a deck than I would in having to go and clean it, strip it, sand it, finish it every year to 2 years.
Okay, so now I've probably done somewhere in excess of 400 decks, and I would say I've only done 4 cedar decks. And unfortunately, as much preparation that was required for staining the cedar and using whatever was recommended, after 3 years, that staining penetration just started to fall away due to the Vancouver weather. You know, we get the freezing, we get the thawing, we get the rain, we get the algae if you're on a northern exposure. You get this shovel out there and it just starts to come apart. So now you're every 3 years spending a great deal of time. So radius edge treated decking is quite popular, cost effective. No need to stain it. It'll just naturally turn a slight white hue. It goes down green at first, but will just kind of bleach out, I guess is a better way from the sun.
Yeah, the sun gets at it, yeah.
Vinyl decking, of course, 60 mil approved vinyl decking for over living quarters is a must. However, it works really well for people that have an elevated deck that have storage area underneath for maybe it is a secondary barbecue, the bikes, the kayaks and stuff like that.
Storage, winter storage.
Winter storage. And then the composite decking, 5 or 7 years ago, people were frightened by the price of the composite decking. But what I've noticed lately is that some of the lumber yards have bought thousands of lineal feet of particular colors, we'll call it pallet loads. And by doing that, they've been able to decrease their costs or minimize or present a better price to the homeowner to be able to go with some specific colors that they purchased, and it goes down beautifully, it looks beautiful, the color renditions are exceptional. There's 3 or 4 good quality materials that you're able to use. People say Trex right away. You don't have to use Trex.
And Moisture Shield,
TimberTech, AZEK.
Yep.
So what I tell people when they when they say Trex, I just use the word composite decking. It's like people.
It's a generic term.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about decking really is the investment that you make today in a deck, the design, the effort that you put into having all the beautiful landscaping and also flower boxes and all the rockery that goes into place. And if you don't use a product like composite that you invest today, you invest over the years to come, because you're not stripping and using items that obviously may cause problems in the growth factor of your shrubbery, your flowers. Whereas you're investing over a period of 10 years, you might have to finish that deck, if it's a wood deck, 5 times. With a composite deck, you don't have anything more than the first application, installation. It's there, finished, on top of a treated joist system. So you invest. Maybe it will cost similar price if you were to take all the cost of the stain or paint over that 10-year period. But you still have to put it on. You still have to prepare it. And that's the time-consuming where people just say, I just don't have time this year. So it looks very ugly for some years before you end up stripping it down and redoing it. Then you get another 2, maybe 3 years out of it. And then you're right back to doing the same thing again. So folks, invest. Talk to somebody like Mike Ullman, where he's going to give you the opportunity to look down the road for investment.
So what I was going to say is typically what I do when I visit a customer, if vinyl decking is out of the question, it's just not going to happen, I will just take it upon myself to say, I will give you a price for both. I will give you a price for composite decking, and I will give you a price for radius edge decking. You look at the difference between the radius edge and the composite decking, and then you determine your looks, your value to your house and stuff like that. And I would say probably 7 out of my last 10 decks, people have chosen to go with the composite product over the treated product, just because of the difference in value these days is not that different, and it just makes sense. And it's a beautiful deck that people will just applaud you on having.
And you gotta look at the investment. You invest today in tomorrow, and that way you're going to get it back. And folks, I just want to say investing in tomorrow is something that I would highly suggest that you take into consideration as well with the new introduction of Shell Busey's Toolbox, which is taking place right now out in Cloverdale, and at the Surrey Hospice Society, and that's Shell Busey's Toolbox. It's a toolbox thrift store, folks, where you can buy used tools. So why not take it upon yourself? If you're out in the Cloverdale area, it's right on 176. It's 5625 176th Street, and it's something that we will advise and will be part and parcel of for a long, long time. And also, Windsor Plywood is a drop-off point. So if you want to contribute and donate any of the tools that you have, you're downsizing, by all means, take them into your local Windsor Plywood store in Greater Vancouver, and they will have them picked up by one of the individuals, including me, to take back to the hospice thrift store, Shell Busey's Toolbox. So thank you, Windsor Plywood. We appreciate your participation. And we're running a little late for a break, folks, but I'd like to say, hey, Mike, thanks very much for coming out and giving us a rundown. I know that you are involved in canopies and all that as well. And hey, canopies over top of beautiful new decks. Why not? You're the consultant. You're the person that's going to promote it.
Thoroughly enjoyed coming over to visit and talk with you, Shell.
It's always nice to have you. Mike Ulma, folks, of Shell Busey's Home Improvements and Renovations. Anything that you're requiring done in and around your home, give us a call at 604-542-2236, and we'll take care of you. We're going to come back with some emails, folks, so don't go away. We'll be right back here on AskShell.com. Welcome back, folks. Shell Busey, the AskShell.com show. The show with the how to, the what to, the where to, the why to, the when to, the who to, folks. Every Saturday morning from 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. While you're having breakfast, just turn us up, and you can listen to all of the information, questions, answers that's going to help you. In fact, we've got an email, Morgan, that you've got there that is a real doozy, one that we get asked a lot when it comes to in the bathroom.
Absolutely. This question came in through AskShell.com. It's simple. All you have to do is go to AskShell.com, register to become a member, confirm your registration via email, and then you can ask Shell a question any time of the day or week, and he has answered all these questions ahead of time.
And it's all free.
And we also send you out a newsletter where you get information and tips. Barbara from South Surrey, my daughter was using hairspray, and she got it all over our mirror in the bathroom. What can I use to get rid of that?
You know, that's another very common question. And not only does it get on the mirror, it gets on the countertop, it gets on the walls, it gets on the wallpaper, it gets on the doors. Because when they put hairspray on, you know, you're putting it all over the place. I see it happening around our home when the girls are in. So what I've always said, anyone that asks me that question, I'll say, now I'm going to have you answer the question. And they'll look at me kind of funny, and I'll say, well, the reason why I say that is that you're the one that used the spray, or the rest of the family. Now, what do you use to take the hairspray out of your hair? And they'll say,
Shampoo.
And I'll say, you just answered your question. And they'll say, you mean to say the shampoo that I wash my hair with, I'm going to be able to take that hairspray off the walls, the mirror, and everything else? And I say, yes, you will definitely take it off, because that's how you get it out of your hair, and it's going to come off the mirror just that easy. So I know you've tried everything from alcohol to methyl hydrates, you name it. Use water and shampoo. It's just that easy. We're going to take this last break before we come back with our closing, folks. So our closing remarks are very important to us, and I'm sure to you. So don't go away. My name is Shell Busey. I'll be back right after this. Welcome back, folks. Shell Busey here, and you've been listening to the AskShell.com show. If you like what you hear, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, and right now, tell us we have got a different little bye-bye, because today is
May 5th. That is Cinco de Mayo down in Mexico, so why not celebrate with a nice margarita or Corona this afternoon for Cinco de Mayo?
Just that easy. Cinco de Mayo. And folks, don't forget, Shell Busey's Toolbox, the thrift store by Surrey Hospice Society in Cloverdale, is open. And I'll tell you, it is showing great movement of used tools. So drop into 5625 176th Street. If you've got donations or contributions, drop in, because it goes to one very worthy cause. And our gratitude cannot be measured by Windsor Plywood, because they have all their stores being drop-off points for used tools, and they get to the toolbox. So, folks, do your part, please. Help out the Surrey Hospice Society, Shell Busey's Toolbox, and help others that need this support. Folks, it's been a great show. Thank you very much for being with us. And as usual, love you all. Bye-bye for now.